Okay, so today we are going to start our new topic, that is antiarrhythmic agents. So, what is arrhythmia? So, first, before discussing the antiarrhythmic agent, first we have to know that is what is arrhythmia. So, arrhythmia is what? It is a contraction of heart due to the pacemaker cells. As we know, who is the pacemaker in the heart? That is the SA node. SA node is called as the pacemaker. Why it is called as a pacemaker? Because it generates the impulse, and the impulse it passes through the AV node, and from AV node it is passes through the bundle of his Purkinje fibers, and later on vascular contraction takes place. So this is the flow of the impulse. So what is arrhythmia? Arrhythmia is what? It is the contraction of heart due to the pacemaker cells. In this, the intrinsic rate of SA node is increased, that is 60 to 100 per minute. That is the rate of the passing of the impulse is about 60 to 100 per minute, and hence contraction of heart takes place due to the impulse which is generated by the SA node. So what actually happens in the arrhythmia? That is contraction of heart takes place because of the impulse which is generated by the SA node. As we know, SA node is called as the pacemaker. But in this case, when arrhythmia occur, when a person is suffering from the arrhythmia, then at that time, the pacemaker, that is the SA node, it generates impulse around 60 to 100 per minute. And because of that, contraction of heart takes place, and that is called as the arrhythmia. In some cases, if SA node is not generating the impulse, if it is failed to generate the impulse, then the AV node, as we have discussed, then if the SA node failed to generate the impulse, then at that time AV node is act as the pacemaker. But at that time it is not called as the pacemaker, because pacemaker is there is only one, that is the SA node. So if SA node failed to generate the impulse, then at that time AV node generate the impulse. So there is a little bit disturbance in the contraction and the relaxation of the heart. So that is what about the arrhythmia. So this is what we have discussed. That is, from SA node, impulse is passes to the AV node, and from AV node, it is passes to the bundle of His, and then contraction of the heart takes place. So it is displayed in the form of the animated diagram. Now, impulse generation and conduction. Now, which are the conducting tissues? Which are the impulse conducting tissues? That is the SA node, AV node, bundle of His, and the Purkinje fibers. And which are the contractile tissue? That is the atria and ventricles. So, contraction किसका होता है? That is the atria and ventricles. And which are the conducting tissues? That is the SA node, AV node, bundle of His, and the Purkinje fiber. These are the conducting tissue, means from which the impulse are passed. SA node is our pacemaker, that is generate the impulse. From SA node it passes through the AV node. From AV node it is passes to the bundle of His, and from bundle of His it passes to the Purkinje fiber. But if in case the pacemaker failed to generate the impulse, that is if SA node failed to generate the impulse, then at that time AV node generate the impulse. In some cases, bundle of fish generate the impulse. In some cases, Purkinje fiber generate the impulse. So there is something disturbance in the contraction and the relaxation of the heart. So at that time, it is called the term is called as the arrhythmia. Wait for a second. Okay. Now the cardiac action potential. So before instead of discussing these things, we'll directly come to this diagram. That is the action potential, cardiac action potential. Now this cardiac action potential, it is divided into the 5 phases. That is the phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and the phase 4. So in these 5 phases, this cardiac action potential is differentiated. Now phase 0, what is the phase 0? Phase 0 is the rapid depolarization phase. Phase 0 is what? That is the rapid depolarization phase. So what happened in phase 0? That is, the sodium rapidly enter into the myocardial cell. That is the entry of the sodium into the myocardial cell. So at that time it is called as the rapid depolarization phase or the phase 0. Then afterwards, phase 1. What is phase 1? It is early repolarization phase. The phase 0 is what? Phase 0 is the rapid depolarization. Phase 1 is the early repolarization. Now what happened in phase 1 phase? That is ionic shift. It reduces the influx of the sodium. Means what? जो भी फेज 0 में सोडियम एंटर कर रहा था, रैपिडली सोडियम एंटर कर रहा था, तो फेज 1 में जो भी सोडियम का इन्फ्लक्स है वो कम हो जाता है, एंड इट फेवर द इन्फ्लक्स ऑफ द क्लोराइड आयन एंड द इफ्लक्स ऑफ द पोटेशियम. दैट इज व्हाट फेज 1 में क्या होता है कि सोडियम का इन्फ्लक्स रिड्यूस हो जाता है और क्लोराइड का इन्फ्लक्स बढ़ जाता है और पोटेशियम का इफ्लक्स बढ़ जाता है. पोटेशियम का इफ्लक्स यानी क्या? दैट इज सेल से पोटेशियम फटाफट रैपिडली बाहर निकलता है और क्लोराइड जो भी है, क्लोराइड का इन्फ्लक्स बढ़ता है. ओके, सो दैट इज द अर्ली रिपोलराइजेशन और द फेज 1. Then later on, phase 2. What is the phase 2? Phase 2 is called as the plateau phase. In this phase, कैल्शियम का इनवर्ड स्लो मीन्स व्हाट? स्लोली कैल्शियम एंटर करता है सेल में और पोटेशियम का इफ्लक्स भी स्लोली होता है. दैट इज द प्लेटिव फेज. फेज 3 इज द रैपिड repolarization. Rapid repolarization. In this, calcium influx, slow calcium influx, it is coupled with the continued efflux of the potassium. Okay, this brings it to the resting. This phase 3, it brings the action potential into the resting phase. क्या होता है रैपिड रिपोलराइजेशन में? दैट इज फेज 3 में. दैट इज कैल्शियम का influx, slow calcium influx, it is coupled with the continued efflux of the potassium. Okay, that is the phase 3. And what is the phase 4? That is the resting phase. Because phase 3, it brings this action potential into the resting phase. That is the phase 4. Now what happened in the resting phase? That is the diastolic depolarization takes place. Means what? The sodium potassium ATPase pump, it restore ion to their proper local concentration. In this phase, sodium enter the cell followed by calcium and potassium efflux return cell to the normal state. So that is the resting phase. Now these antiarrhythmic agents, they exert their effect by altering these ion fluxes. ओके, सो जो भी अपने एंटी अरिथमिक एजेंट्स है वो सब एंटी अरिथमिक एजेंट कौन से ना कौन से फेज पे एक्ट होते हैं और एक्शन पोटेंशियल को वो अल्टर करते हैं, चेंज करते हैं जैसे उनको चाहिए वैसे. ठीक है, सो दिस इज व्हाट द एक्शन पोटेंशियल. सो दिस एक्शन पोटेंशियल is further divided into the 5 subtypes. That's the phase 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Phase 0 is the rapid depolarization. Phase 1 is the early repolarization. Phase 2 is the plateau phase. Phase 3 is the rapid repolarization. And phase 4 is the resting phase. Now, what is the rapid depolarization? That is the phase 0. What happened in phase 0? That is sodium rapidly enter into the cell. Okay, what is rapid depolarization? That is the sodium rapidly enter into the cell. That is the phase 0. What is the phase 1? That is the early repolarization. What happened in early repolarization phase? जो फेज 0 में सोडियम रैपिडली एंटर कर रहा था, तो यहाँ पे सोडियम स्लोली एंटर करता है और इस फेज में क्लोराइड का इनफ्लक्स बढ़ता है और पोटेशियम का इफ्लक्स बढ़ता है. Then phase 2 is the plateau phase. In this phase, inward of calcium movement takes place. Slowly, inward of calcium movement takes place along with the efflux of the potassium. Then phase 3 is the rapid repolarization. What happened in rapid repolarization? That is a slow calcium influx coupled with the continued efflux of the potassium. Okay, and the phase 0 is the resting phase. In this phase, the sodium potassium ATPase pump, it restores the ions to their proper local concentration. And in this phase, sodium enter into the cell followed by calcium and potassium efflux. It return the cell to the normal concentration or to the normal state. और जो भी अपने एंटी एरिथमिक एजेंट्स है, that anti arrhythmic agents, they act any of these phase and alter the ion fluxes. So that is what the action potential. So this is what the theoretical description which I have described with you. So just read it later on. तो जो भी मैंने कहा इसके related, तो वो सब theoretical यहाँ पे दिया है. Okay. Now this is the ECG diagram. It's showing the wave segments. It's showing the wave segment. So this ECG segment is divided into the few segments. That is a P. In this P phase, the contraction of atria takes place. Then QRS complex, in this the contraction of ventricles takes place. Then the T phase, in this the repolarization of ventricles takes place. So this is the ECG diagram which showing the wave segments. बराबर है ना, जहाँ हम ICU में देखते हैं, ICU में ये डायग्राम हमें बहुत बार दिखाई देती है, राइट. So what is the P phase? P phase is the contraction of atria. QRS complex is the contraction of ventricles, and the T phase is the repolarization of the ventricles. Okay, so this is the ECG diagram which showing the wave segments. Now these antiarrhythmic agents, now we have discussed regarding the arrhythmia. Now this arrhythmia is further classified into the several classes, that is the sinus tachycardia, then the atrial flutter and fibrillation, then sinus bradycardia, then sick sinus syndrome, then atrioventricular block, then the premature ventricular contraction, then paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, then re-entry, then ventricular flutter, ventricular fibrillation. So there are around 9 to 10 subclasses of the arrhythmias. So we are not going to discuss about this classification, okay, because these antiarrhythmic agents you are broadly studied into the pharmacology, okay. So we are not going to discuss more about these classification of arrhythmia. Okay, so what is arrhythmia? Arrhythmia is classified into the sinus tachycardia, atrial flutter and fibrillation, sinus bradycardia, sick sinus syndrome, atrioventricular block, premature ventricular contraction, then paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, then ventricular flutter, ventricular fibrillation. So just नाम याद रखो, that's it. Okay, so हम directly classification पे आते हैं. So these antiarrhythmic agents are broadly classified into these 6 classes. There are 4 major classes, that is the class 1, class 2, class 3 and class 4. Class 1 is further subclassified into the 1A, 1B and the 1C. So in our syllabus जो भी ड्रग है अंडरलाइन किए हुए तो वो अपने सिलेबस में है. ओके, तो क्लास 1A में क्यूनिडिन, प्रोकेनामाइड and the disopyramide. The mechanism of action of this drug is they lengthen the refractory period. Then 1B class में कौन से ड्रग है? That is the lidocaine and the mexiletine. They shorten the duration of action potential. Then 1C में एक ही ड्रग है, that is the propafenone. The mechanism of action is it slow down the conduction. Then class 2 is the beta adrenergic blocker. Example is propranolol. It slow down the AV conduction time and suppress automaticity. Class 3 is amiodarone and the sotalol. MOA is it prolong the refractoriness. Then class 4 is calcium channel blockers. Example is verapamil and the diltiazem. Mechanism of action is it blocks slow inward calcium channel. So this is the classification of antiarrhythmic agents with its mechanism of action. Again, whatever we have discussed, it is again given in the second table. So we'll skip this because whatever we have mentioned in this table, so same thing is mentioned in this. So we are going to skip this. Okay. So first class, that is the sodium channel blockers. So we are going to discuss each and every class. So the first class is the sodium channel blocker. So what is the sodium channel blocker? So the action of the class 1 local anesthetic type antiarrhythmic drug. So this drug, the sodium channel blocker drug, these drugs are the pH dependent and they may vary with each drug. Okay, this sodium channel blocker drug, these are the class 1 local anesthetic type antiarrhythmic drugs and these are pH dependent and they may vary with each drug. These drugs, the antiarrhythmic drugs, these are the weak bases. These are the weak bases. Means what? They are little bit acidic, with most having pK value ranging from 7.5 to 9.5. Okay. So these antiarrhythmic drugs, these are what? These are the weak bases. If they are weak bases, means what? They are slightly acidic and having the pK value ranging from 7.5 to 9.5. At physiological pH, that is at pH 7.40, these drugs exist in equilibrium, consist of both the free base and the cationic form. So at physiological pH, that is at 7.40 pH, these drugs exist in equilibrium. So at that time, they exist as a free base as well as they exist in the cationic form. The ionizable drug such as lidocaine having pKa 7.86, it is having stronger electrophysiological effect in ischemic rather than normal myocardial cells. The potentiation has been attributed in part to the increase in hydrogen concentration within the ischemic areas of the heart. Means what? ये जो भी drug है lidocaine having the pK value is 7.86. So because of this pK value 7.86, it is a ionizable drug. This drug having strong electrophysiological effect in ischemic area rather than the normal myocardial cells. So because of this pK value, that is 7.86, it is ionizable drug. So it is what? It is little bit acidic drug because of the pK 7.86. So what is the nature of the acidic drug? That is they donate the proton. So this drug, lidocaine drug, it increase the hydrogen concentration within the ischemic area of the heart rather than the normal myocardial cells. So because of the increase in the proton concentration within the ischemic area of the heart, there is a acidosis occur. So this acidosis increases the proportion of sodium ion channel occupied by the protonated form of the antiarrhythmic agent. Okay, so what happened because of the acidosis? So this acidosis, it increases the proportion of sodium ion channel. कहाँ पे ये सोडियम आयन चैनल का प्रोपोर्शन बढ़ता है? Whatever the area is occupied by the antiarrhythmic agent. So antiarrhythmic agent like lidocaine having the pK value 7.86. तो ये क्या करता है? This lidocaine drug, it increase the hydrogen concentration within the ischemic area of the heart. So ये जो भी एरिया है, ischemic area, जो भी हाइड्रोजन ने ऑक्यूपाई किया है, तो वहां पे ये सोडियम आयन चैनल का प्रोपोर्शन बढ़ाता है. Okay. The effect of pH on the antiarrhythmic activity of drug can be complex, as both the free base and cationic species have been proposed as the active form of some drug. The unchanged form of the sodium channel blocker can penetrate directly from the lipid phase. Okay, so the uncharged form means what? जो drug ionizable नहीं है. Okay, those drugs which are not ionizable. So the uncharged form of the sodium channel blocker, they penetrate directly from the lipid phase of the surrounding cell membrane to block the channel. Small changes in pH can alter this drug effectiveness by changing the charged to uncharged molecular ratio in the myocardial cell. So in short, what actually happened, that is this drug, the antiarrhythmic agent, the class 1 sodium channel blocker, and which are acting as antiarrhythmic agent. ये ड्रग क्या करते हैं? That is those drug which are having the pK value is around 7.86, means what? They are the ionizable drug. So ionizable drug means what? They are exist as acid as well as the base in form of the ion. तो ये जो भी ड्रग है, लिटिल बिट एसिडिक ड्रग, they donate the proton to the ischemic area of the heart. तो okay, they donate the proton to the ischemic area of the heart. So whatever the area which is occupied by this antiarrhythmic agent, तो वहां पे ये सोडियम आयन चैनल का प्रोपोर्शन बढ़ाते हैं और वो प्रोपोर्शन बढ़ा के उनको ये ड्रग ब्लॉक करते हैं. ओके, एंड हेंस द नेम ऑफ दिस क्लास इज द सोडियम चैनल ब्लॉकर्स. ओके, और जो ड्रग्स है, those drugs who are exist in the uncharged form, they penetrate from the lipid phase of the cell membrane to block the channel. Okay, so this is what about the sodium channel blockers. So the first class is the class 1A antiarrhythmic drug. Class 1A antiarrhythmic drug. Now these drugs are as were discussed, these drugs in the anti-malarial chapter in the last semester. Okay, that is the natural drugs, cinchonalkaloids. In the cinchonalkaloids, we have studied the quinine, quinidine, cinchonine and the cinchonide. राइट, हमने ये पढ़ा था. तो ये जो भी ड्रग्स है, जैसे लास्ट टाइम लेक्चर में कहा था, दिस ड्रग डिफर विथ ईच अदर in the carbon number 8 and carbon number 9, in between carbon number 8 and carbon number 9, as the stereochemistry differ at carbon number 8 and carbon number 9. Otherwise everything is same. Okay, so this drug quinidine is there in our syllabus. So quinidine quinidine, it is widely used for acute and chronic treatment of ventricular and the supraventricular arrhythmias. Okay, this quinidine drug, it is used in acute and chronic treatment of ventricular and the supraventricular arrhythmia. So what is ventricular and supraventricular arrhythmia? Anyone? Ventricular arrhythmia means what? That is the ventricular rate is around 150 to 300 per minute. In this ventricular arrhythmia, the impulse are generated rapidly in the ventricular region. ventricular region में impulse का generation ज़्यादा हो जाता है, इसलिए इसको बोलते हैं ventricular arrhythmia. तो ventricular arrhythmia में जो भी ventricular rate है वो रहता है around 150 to 300 per minute. Okay, and what's about the supraventricular arrhythmia? Anyone? What's about the supraventricular arrhythmia? In the supraventricular arrhythmia, the ventricular rate is around 150 to 250 beat per minute. So that is the supraventricular arrhythmia. It is also called as the supraventricular tachycardia. Okay, so this drug, the quinidine drug, is act on this ventricular and the supraventricular arrhythmias. This quinidine drug is used in the treatment of the ventricular and the supraventricular arrhythmia. Now this drug is a member of family of alkaloids which were discussed in the last semester, that is they found from the cinchona bark, and it is a diastereomer of the quinine. Despite their structural similarity, quinidine and quinine, they differ markedly in their effects on the cardiac muscles, with the effect of quinidine being much more pronounced as compared to the quinine. Now structurally, quinidine is composed of quinoline ring. So this is the quinoline ring. Okay, this is the quinoline ring, and the bicyclic quinidine ring system with a hydroxy methylene bridge connecting these two components. Examination of quinidine reveals two basic nitrogen, with the quinidine nitrogen having pKa value 11 being stronger of the two. So there are two nitrogen in this quinidine structure. One is present in the quiniquidine ring and one is present in the quinoline ring. So after examination, it is found that the quinidine reveals, the quiniquidine nitrogen is stronger as compared to this nitrogen. Now, because of the basic character of the quinidine, it is always used as a water soluble salt form. Okay, so because of its basic character, just we have discussed about this class. Now, which class we are going to we are studying? That is the first class, that is the sodium channel blockers. So, what we have discussed, that is these drugs are the weak bases. If they are weak bases, means what, they are a little bit acidic. So, because of the basic character of this drug, it is always used as a water soluble salt form, that is a ionizable form. Now, these salt, they include the quinidine sulfate, quinidine gluconate, and the quinidine polygalacturonate. These are the metabolites of the quinidine. That is the phase 2 metabolite, quinidine sulfate, quinidine gluconate, and the quinidine polygalacturonate. It is having good absorption, around 95% is observed. The 95% of the absorption is observed with each of these form after oral administration. In special situation, quinidine can be administered intravenously as the gluconate salt. The use of intravenous quinidine, however, is rare. So generally, quinidine is given by the intravenous route instead of the this quinidine drug is given in the form of the gluconate salt by the intravenous route. The gluconate salt is particularly suited for parenteral use because of its high water solubility and the lower irritant potential. So these are the other metabolites of the quinidine, that is the O-dimethyl quinidine. So here whatever the methyl group is there, it is get liberated. So this is the first metabolic product, that is the O-dimethyl quinidine, and the second one is oxydihydroquinidine. So hydroxylation of the alkyl group results in the formation of the another metabolic product, that is the oxydihydroquinidine. The metabolites are hydroxylated derivatives at either the quinoline ring. So this is the quinoline ring, and hydroxylation takes place in the formation of the O-dimethylquinidine through first pass O-demethylation or at the quiniquidine ring through oxidation of the vinyl group. These metabolites possess only about one-third the activity of the quinidine. Okay, so these metabolites, the O-dimethylquinidine and the oxydihydroquinidine, they possess only one-third of the activity as compared to the parent drug quinidine. Their contribution to the overall therapeutic effect of quinidine is unclear. The clinical significance of the well-documented digoxin-quinidine interaction was described in the section on digoxin drug interaction. So we are not हमने ये discuss किया नहीं है, but just ठीक है. Apparently, quinidine inhibit the renal tubular secretion of digoxin via P-GP efflux pump, resulting in increased plasma concentration for digoxin. Okay, whatever. So this part is not of our medicinal chemistry part. तो remember रखने जैसा क्या है? That is quinidine. This quinidine drug contain the two moieties. One is the quinoline moiety and the another one is the quiniquidine moiety. It contains the two nitrogen. So which nitrogen is most stronger? That is this nitrogen which is present in the quiniquidine ring. This nitrogen is most stronger, having the pK values of 11, and this drug is available as a water soluble salt form. And generally a जो भी drug है, that drug is administered intravenously as a gluconate salt. And this quinidine, as we know, these are the alkaloids isolated from the cinchona bark. And these are the metabolites, that is the O-dimethylquinidine and the oxydihydroquinidine. These metabolites are formed from the hydroxylation process, either to the quinoline ring or to the quiniquidine ring. And what are the metabolites are formed? They are less potent as compared to the parent drug, that is the quinidine. So this is what about the quinidine. Then the next drug is the procainamide. Next drug is what? That is the procainamide. So this is the structure of procainamide. Procaine. Now this the name of the drug is procainamide, but procaine is what? Procaine drug is used as a local anesthetic agent. I think local anesthetics are not covered in the medicinal chemistry, but it may cover in the pharmacology. Maybe I don't know whether the local anesthetic is covered in the pharmacology or not. But procaine drug is what? Procaine is a local anesthetic agent, and from that procainamide is gets synthesized. Okay. So regarding the IPC nomenclature, now this is the IPC nomenclature. Now this drug contains amide as a functional group. Okay, C double bond O NH2. That is amide as a functional group. So we'll start from the amide. So to the para position of the amide there is a amino group. So we can call as a para amino, or we can also call it as a 4-amino, because to the para position, that is the fourth position of the amino group, there is a amino group. So you can call it as the para amino. Okay, para amino. Now N dash of what? That is the amide. So after para amino, N dash, then 2 dash. 2 dash of what? That is the ethyl. Carbon number 1, carbon number 2. 2 dash diethyl amino ethyl, and the remaining portion, this one is called as the benzamide. Okay, that's the benzene C don't O NH2. That is what? That is a benzamide. So this is the drug procainamide. Now this procainamide drug is effective in the treatment of the several types of the cardiac arrhythmias. Okay, this drug procainamide, it is effective in the treatment of the several types of the cardiac arrhythmias. Now which are the several types of cardiac arrhythmias that we have discussed? That is sinus tachycardia, atrial flutter, atrial fibrillation, sinus bradycardia, then sixth sinus syndrome, atrioventricular block, premature ventricular contraction, पैरोक्सिमल सुप्रावेंट्रिकुलर टैकीकार्डिया, वेंट्रिकुलर फ्लटर, वेंट्रिकुलर फिब्रिलेशन. तो जैसे मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले कुछ आपको नाम बताया ना अरिथमिया के, जो भी सब टाइप से, तो वो सब टाइप पे ये जो प्रोकेनामाइड ड्रग है वो यूज किया जाता है. Okay, its action are similar to those of the quinidine, yet procainamide can be effective in patients who are unresponsive to the quinidine drug. तो ये इसके जो भी mechanism of action है, that is somehow similar to the quinidine. Now what is the mechanism of action of the quinidine? That is, these drugs are act as a sodium channel blocker. That's it. The mechanism of action of this drug is what? या फिर अगर आपको शॉर्ट में चाहिए तो ये जो टेबल है, ठीक है, यहाँ पे उन्होंने मैकेनिज्म एक्शन दी है. क्यूनिडीन इज व्हाट? दैट इज अ सोडियम चैनल ब्लॉकर. प्रोकेनामाइड इज व्हाट? इट इज इंटरमीडिएट rate of dissociation from sodium channel. Means what? Same thing, that is it acts as a sodium channel blocker. या फिर यहाँ पे भी दिया है क्यूनिडीन, प्रोकेनामाइड ड्रग, these drugs they lengthen the refractory period. How they lengthen the refractory period? By blocking the sodium ion channel. Okay, तो यहाँ पे शॉर्ट टेबल में सब मैकेनिज्म दिए हैं. ओके, so procainamide drug, it having the mechanism action is similar of the quinidine, but this drug having because of the same mechanism action, when these drug are used, जब क्यूनिडीन उसकी एक्शन देता नहीं है किसी पेशेंट पे, तो उस टाइम इंस्टेड ऑफ क्यूनिडीन प्रोकेनामाइड दिया जाता है टू ट्रीट द वेरियस टाइप्स ऑफ द कार्डियक arrhythmias. So here it has mentioned the initial development of procainamide was stimulated by the observation that the local anesthetic procaine, which is the ester bioisoster of the procainamide, when administered intravenously, produced significant although short-lived antiarrhythmic effect. Unfortunately, considerable CNS toxicity, in addition to the short duration, limited usefulness of the agent. Moreover, procaine is not active orally because of short duration of action caused by both chemical and plasma esterase hydrolysis. तो ये जो भी प्रोकेन ड्रग है, विच इज लोकल एनेस्थेटिक एजेंट, यह जो भी लोकल एनेस्थेटिक प्रोकेन एजेंट है, इसको पहले यूज किया एज एंटी एरिथमिक एजेंट, बट बिकॉज ऑफ सम सीएनएस टॉक्सिसिटी, बाद में शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एक्शन, ये जो भी ड्रग है, ये ड्रग का यूज उन्होंने बंद कर दिया. फिर उन्होंने क्या किया, उनको तो पता चला कि दैट प्रोकेन ड्रग इज यूज एज एंटी एरिथमिक एजेंट. उन्होंने कुछ मॉडिफिकेशन किए, उन्होंने कुछ मॉडिफिकेशन किए. सो अ लॉजिकल मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ दिस मोलिक्यूल, दैट इज द प्रोकेन, was the isosteric replacement of the ester. ओके, तो प्रोकेन में यहाँ पे क्या था, ईस्टर ग्रुप था. सो दैट ईस्टर ग्रुप इज रिप्लेस विद द अमाइडो ग्रुप. दिस प्रोड्यूस्ड ओरली एक्टिव प्रोकेनामाइड which is more resistant to both enzymatic and the chemical hydrolysis. Okay, so this drug it shows the resistance to both the enzyme as well as it is resistance to the chemical hydrolysis. तो इसका डिग्रेडेशन जो भी है प्रोकेनामाइड का वो जो भी डिग्रेडेशन है वो डिग्रेडेशन जल्दी नहीं होता. ओके, सो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द प्रोकेन एंड प्रोकेनामाइड? दैट इज प्रोकेन में जो भी ईस्टर था, दैट ईस्टर ग्रुप इट इज रिप्लेस विद द अमाइड ग्रुप. ओके, दैट्स इट. The peak plasma level of procainamide are observed within 45 to 90 minutes after oral administration, and approximately 70 to 80% of the dose is bioavailable. Approximately half of the dose is excreted unchanged, and the remaining half undergoes acetylation metabolism in the liver. Metabolites of procainamide include para-aminobenzoic acid and N-acetyl procainamide. So these are the metabolites of the procainamide. Okay, that is the para-aminobenzoic acid. तो यहाँ पे ये सब ग्रुप है जो भी है बाय एन डीएसिटाइलेशन, ये सब ग्रुप निकल जाता है और यहाँ पे आता है तुम्हारा कार्बोक्सिल ग्रुप. सो इट बिकम्स द para-aminobenzoic acid एंड द N-acetyl procainamide. तो यहाँ पे एसिटाइल ग्रुप अगर जब लगेगा इट बिकम्स द N-acetyl procainamide. Interestingly, acetylated metabolite is also active as an antiarrhythmic. ये जो भी यहाँ पे अगर acetyl group लगा, then it becomes the N-acetyl procainamide. So this acetylated metabolite is also active as an as the parent drug, that's the procainamide. Its formation accounts for up to 1/3 of the administered dose and is catalyzed by the liver enzyme N-acetyl transferase. Okay, its formation accounts for up to 1/3 of the administered dose and is catabolized by the enzyme N-acetyl transferase. Because acetylation is strongly influenced by individual genetic background, marked variability in the amounts of the active metabolite can be observed from patient to patient. And this paragraph is about the half-life and all the things. Okay, so this is what about the procainamide. So which are the active metabolites of the procainamide? The one is the para-aminobenzoic acid and the one is the N-acetyl procainamide. Okay, so these are the metabolites of the procainamide. Then the next drug, that is the third drug of this class, is the disoparamide. Okay, the next drug is the disoparamide. Now this is the structure of the disoparamide. आपका है क्या अभी? Okay, so this is the structure of the disoparamide. Now, if you observe again in this drug, so as compared to the previous drug, this drug contains the amide as a functional group. This drug also contains amide as a functional group. In the previous drug, it was benzamide. Now, in this drug, it is a butanamide. See, here C-NH2, that is amide functional group, and it contains 4 carbons in a straight chain. Carbon 1, 2, 3 and 4. So there are 4 carbon in a straight chain. So it is what? Butanamide. Having the amide functional group, so it is a butanamide. So we'll start with this carbon, that is the amide carbon. So carbon 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 dash, then bis. Why bis? Because it contains the same components at this nitrogen. Hence, it is called as a bis. So what is bis? So which components are here? So propane, but they are not in a straight chain. They are attached to the second carbon to this nitrogen. Hence, it is propan 2YL. Have you understood why it is called as propan 2YL? Because they are not present in a straight chain. So this is like N-CH, यहाँ पे CH3 और यहाँ पे CH3. तो प्रोपेन के सेकंड कार्बन को नाइट्रोजन अटैच है, hence it is called as a propan 2YL. तो कितने कंपोनेंट्स ऐसे, ये दो कंपोनेंट्स है। सो इट इज 4 डैश बेस प्रोपेन टू वाई एल अमाइनो। देन तो ये तो हो गया। तो अभी ये जो भी चार कार्बन है, ये चार कार्बन के सेकंड कार्बन को क्या अटैच है, तो सेकंड कार्बन को एक तो है आपका फिनाइल, सो टू फिनाइल, then again 2 dash, then what is the name of this structure, it is the pyridine. So pyridine 2YL. What is pyridine 2YL? Because pyridine के second carbon को, pyridine का numbering हम नाइट्रोजन से करते हैं, so it is first and this one is the second, hence pyridine 2YL, and the remaining portion, that is the butanamide, remaining portion, that is the butanamide. So this is the structure of the disopyramide. So disopyramide is used orally for the treatment of certain ventricular and atrial arrhythmias. Okay, ventricular and the atrial arrhythmias. Now, what is the meaning of ventricular arrhythmia? Ventricular arrhythmia means what? कि ventricles में atria and ventricles, ventricles में contraction heart का ज़्यादा होता है. So that's called as a ventricular arrhythmia. And atrial arrhythmia means what? कि atria में heart का contraction ज़्यादा होता है, उसको बोलते हैं atrial arrhythmias. अराउंड जो भी कॉन्ट्रैक्शन रेट है या फिर इम्पल्स का रेट जो भी है, वो अराउंड 150 टू 200 बीट्स पर मिनट रहता है. ओके, जो भी नॉर्मल रेंज रहती है अपनी 70, तो उससे ज़्यादा रहती है, अराउंड 150 टू 200 बीट्स पर मिनट वो रहता है. तो वेंट्रिकुलर अरिथमिया मींस व्हाट, जहाँ पे वेंट्रिकल्स में कॉन्ट्रैक्शन ज़्यादा होता है, और एट्रियल अरिथमिया मींस व्हाट, जहाँ पे एट्रिया का कॉन्ट्रैक्शन ज़्यादा होता है. Despite its structural dissimilarity to procainamide, its cardiac effects are very similar. Means this drug, disopyramide drug, is a little bit different to the procainamide, but its cardiac effect, means its mechanism of action, is very similar to the procainamide. Now, this disopyramide drug, it is completely absorbed from the GI tract. The peak plasma level, it means it is reached in the plasma or in 1 to 3 hours, and having the plasma half-life of around 5 to 7 hours. Approximately half of an oral dose, it is excreted unchanged in the urine. The remaining drug undergoes hepatic metabolism, principally to the corresponding N-dealkylated metabolite. Now N-dealkylated means what? ये जो भी नाइट्रोजन है, ये नाइट्रोजन का ये जो भी अल्काइल ग्रुप से, ये अल्काइल ग्रुप निकल जाएंगे, so it becomes an N-dealkylated metabolite. This metabolite remain approximately half the antiarrhythmic activity of the disopyramide. तो ये जो भी मेटाबॉलिक प्रोडक्ट फॉर्म होगा आफ्टर एनडीएल्काइलेशन, तो जो भी मेटाबॉलिक प्रोडक्ट फॉर्म होगा उसका एक्टिविटी कितना रहेगा, अराउंड हाफ एज कंपेयर टू द parent drug, as compared to the parent disopyramide drug. Okay, so this is what all about the today's lecture. तो आज हमने क्या पढ़ा, आज हमने अरिथमियास पढ़ा, अरिथमिया क्या होता है वो पढ़ा, अरिथमिया अरिथमिया के जो भी सब टाइप्स है, कुछ 10-11 सब टाइप्स है, उसके खाली हमने नाम देखे, और उसके बाद फिर हमने एंटी अरिथमिक एजेंट्स का क्लासिफिकेशन देखा. एंटी अरिथमिक एजेंट्स आर ब्रॉडली क्लासिफाइड इनटू द 4 क्लासेस, 1 2 3 4. वन जो भी सब क्लास है, दैट वन सब क्लास इज क्लासिफाइड इनटू 1A 1B 1C. बाद में हमने आज क्लास 1 पढ़ा. क्लास 1 कौन सा है, दैट इज सोडियम चैनल ब्लॉकर. तो ये जो भी सोडियम चैनल ब्लॉकर जो भी ड्रग्स है, ये ऑल दीज ड्रग्स, दीज आर द वीक बेसिस. इफ दे आर वीक बेसिस मींस व्हाट, दे आर वीकली एसिडिक आल्सो. तो उनका जो भी पीके रेंज रहता है, फॉर एग्जांपल हमने लिडोकेन का देखा, द पीके इज अराउंड 7.40. तो एट दैट टाइम दैट ड्रग इज अनएजेबल. तो तो वो ड्रग क्या करता है, इट डोनेट द प्रोटॉन टू द इश्चेमिक एरिया ऑफ द हार्ट इंस्टेड ऑफ द हेल्दी मायोकार्डियल सेल्स. और वहां पे जो ड्रग है वो एरिया कैप्चर करता है, इश्चेमिक एरिया, वहां पे वो सोडियम चैनल का प्रोपोर्शन बढ़ाता है और वो सोडियम चैनल को ब्लॉक करता है. ठीक है, तो दैट इज द मैकेनिज्म ऑफ एक्शन ऑफ दिस क्लास 1 एंटी अरिथमिक एजेंट. और इसमें फिर हमने कुछ ड्रग्स देखे. द फर्स्ट ड्रग वाज क्यूनिडिन, second drug is the procainamide, and the third drug is the disopyramide. Okay, so that's it. That's all about the today's lecture. किसी को कुछ डाउट है? Any doubt in the today's lecture?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Uh, next class is the class 1 antiarrhythmic drugs. So what is the class 1B antiarrhythmic drug? So there are few drugs like lidocaine. Okay. Now this drug, as we have discussed earlier, that is the class 1 antiarrhythmic drugs, they act by blocking the sodium channels. So similarly, these class 1B antiarrhythmic drugs, they also act by the same mechanism of action, that is by blocking the sodium ion channel. So to which phase they act, that is they act on the phase 0 and the phase 1, in which the sodium enter into the cell. So this drug, the lidocaine drug, or the previous class 1A antiarrhythmic drugs, they act on the phase 0 and the phase 1 of the action potential, in which the sodium get enter into the cell. As these are the sodium channel blockers, so they act on the phase 0 and the phase 1 action potential. So the first drug of this class 1B antiarrhythmic agents is the lidocaine. So this is the structure of the lidocaine. So yesterday we had discussed about the procainamide drug. So procainamide, it is get synthesized from a local anesthetic agent procaine. So similarly, lidocaine is also a local anesthetic agent. Okay. So this is the structure of the lidocaine. Again, this lidocaine contain amide functional group. No, it's not amide functional group, because if the carbonyl group is attached to the phenyl ring, then it becomes the amide functional group. Then at that time we can call it as a benzamide or something. So here there is another functional group. Okay, we will check it out. So lidocaine. So as discussed, lidocaine is what? Lidocaine is a local anesthetic agent. It is one of the most promising local anesthetic agent. But this drug can also use as an antiarrhythmic agent. So the mechanism of action is 2 dash carbon number 1, carbon number 2. Okay, carbon number 1, carbon number 2. So in this case, this is considered as a amide. Now this is what? Acetamide. If the carbonyl group is attached to the phenyl ring, then at that time we can call it as a benzamide. Now this carbonyl group is attached to these ethyl carbons, and there is a NH is also there, so this is considered as a acetamide. Okay, so carbon number 1, carbon number 2. So after 2 dash, diethyl amino 1 dash, or either you can write down as a 1 dash or you can write down as a n dash. Okay, so carbon number 1, carbon number 2, 2 dash diethyl amino. Then either you can write down as a 1 dash, or it is better to write down as a n dash. So n dash 2 6 dimethyl phenyl, and the remaining portion, that is the acetamide. Okay, so this is the IUPAC nomenclature of the lidocaine. Over here it is mentioned differently, but I think whatever I have described you, the IUPAC nomenclature of the lidocaine, it is simple as compared to this IUPAC nomenclature, right? So what is the IUPAC nomenclature of the lidocaine? So 2 dash diethyl amino n dash 2,6 dimethyl phenyl, and the remaining portion, that is the acetamide. Okay, so this is the IUPAC nomenclature of the lidocaine. Now lidocaine, it is normally reserved for the treatment of the ventricular arrhythmias. So yesterday we have discussed there are different types of the arrhythmias. So in that we have discussed about the ventricular arrhythmias. In ventricular arrhythmia, the impulse are generated rapidly in the ventricular region. The ventricular rate is around 150 to 300 per minute. So it is huge. Generally impulse का rate क्या रहता है 70 beats per minute. But in the ventricular flutter or the ventricular arrhythmias, जो भी impulse generate होते हैं ventricular region में, that is around 150 to 300 per minute. So that is called as a ventricular arrhythmia. So this drug lidocaine, it is reserved for the treatment of the ventricular arrhythmia. Its utility in this situation result from rapid onset of antiarrhythmic effects on intravenous infusion. Okay, so this drug generally given by the intravenous route, and its effect is rapidly terminated if its effect is rapidly terminated after the discontinuation of the intravenous injection. Lidocaine is effective as an antiarrhythmic only when given parenterally, and the intravenous route is the most common. Okay, so this drug is effective as an antiarrhythmic when given parenterally, and in case of parenterally, intravenous route is the most common for the administration of the lidocaine drug. Regarding the metabolism, this lidocaine drug is metabolized by N-deethylation results in the formation of this metabolic product called as monoethyl glycine xylidine, followed by hydrolysis catalyzed by the enzyme macrosomal amidase results in the formation of N-ethyl glycine and 2,6-dimethyl aniline, or also called as 2,6-xylidine. Okay, so these are the metabolites of the lidocaine. Then the next agent of class 1B antiarrhythmic agent is mexiletine. So this is the structure of mexiletine. Now regarding the IUPAC nomenclature, if we consider amine as a functional group, then 1 dash 2,6-dimethyl phenoxy propan 2 amine, propan 1 2 1 2 3. So these are the 3 carbons in a section. So to this propan, the amino group is attached at the second carbon, and it is called as the propan 2 amine. Okay, so this is the IUPAC nomenclature of the mexiletine. Or there is another IUPAC nomenclature which is mentioned over here, that 2 dash, okay, it is 2 dash 1 2 2 amino carbon 1 carbon 2 2 amino propoxy. ओके 2 अमाइनो प्रोपॉक्सी. अब ये 2 डैश कौन सा, बेंजीन का. ये 2 डैश कौन सा, बेंजीन का. 1 2 1 2 2 डैश, देन 2 अमाइनो, देन प्रोपॉक्सी इन अ स्ट्रेट चेन, 3 कार्बन है इसलिए प्रोपॉक्सी, देन 1 3 डाइमिथाइल बेंजीन, 1 3 डाइमिथाइल बेंजीन. So this is the IUPAC nomenclature of the mexiletine. So I have mentioned 2 IUPAC nomenclature, so you can write down any one of them if it is asked in the examination. So mexiletine, it is similar to lidocaine in its effect and the therapeutic application. Again, if it is similar to lidocaine, then of course it is used in the treatment of the ventricular arrhythmias. Mexiletine has very good oral activity and absorption properties. Regarding metabolism, it is metabolized by the enzyme CYP2D6 and it is excreted through the renal route, having long plasma half-life of approximately 12 to 16 hours. So this is all about the mexiletine. So 2 drugs we have discussed in the class 1B antiarrhythmic agent, that is the lidocaine and the mexiletine. Then the next class, that is the class 1C antiarrhythmic drugs. There is only one drug in the class 1C antiarrhythmic drug, that is the propafenone. So this is the structure of the propafenone. Now if you check out the structure, so there is a functional group called as a ketone, C-O-O, ketone as a functional group. So regarding the IPC nomenclature, so we can start the IPC nomenclature from the first position of the propap of these ketone. So 1 dash, then 2 dash, 1, 2. Now, of course, consider one thing, that is, while nomenclating IPC nomenclature, you have to follow the alphabetical order. So in this case, if you say that I will write down the IPC nomenclature from this phenyl, that is from 1, 2, 3, 3 dash phenyl, so it is wrong, because there is a ethyl propyl group. Okay, propyl group is also there, hydroxyl group is also there. Okay, so you can follow the alphabetical order. So in this case, we can start the IPC nomenclature from the first position, that is the 1 dash. So after 1 dash, 2 dash, 1, 2, 2 dash, then 2 hydroxy, 2 hydroxy, because over here it is a propyl, over here it is a phenyl. So H is come first as compared to the P. Okay, hence we can write down the IPC nomenclature from the hydroxy. So after 1 dash of these propanol, then 2 dash, then 2 hydroxy, then 3 dash, 1, 2, 3, 3 dash, propyl amino, or you can write down as a propan 1YL amino. So both are correct. Propyl amino or propan 1YL amino. Then propoxy, phenyl, then 3 dash phenyl propanon or propan 1 on. So this is the IUPAC nomenclature of the propafenone. So this propafenone drug, it is marketed as a racemic mixture as it contains a chiral center. The therapy with the racemic mixture of propafenone, it produces effect which attributed to both S and R enantiomers. Although R and S enantiomer also exert similar sodium channel blocking effects. The S enantiomer, there is a extra activity of S enantiomer. That S enantiomer also produce alpha adrenergic blockage. Okay, so this S enantiomer also block the beta adrenergic receptors and also block the alpha adrenergic receptors, and hence the S enantiomer is reported to be 40-fold more potent than the R enantiomer as an anti-arrhythmic agent. Okay, so so this is what about the class 1C anti-arrhythmic drugs. Now the next one is the class 2 beta blocking agents, that is the class 2 beta adrenergic blocking agents. Now these beta adrenergic blocking drugs, they cause membrane stabilizing or the depressant effect on the myocardial tissue. Okay, so what these drugs do? That is, these beta adrenergic blockers like the sotalol or the propranolol. So these drugs, they cause membrane stabilizing or depressant effect on myocardial tissue. Their antiarrhythmic properties are considered to be principally the result of inhibition of adrenergic stimulation to the heart. Okay, so these beta blocker drug, they show some depressant effect on myocardial tissue, and this drug considered to be principally the effect of this depressant. The depressant effect is because of the inhibition of the adrenergic stimulation to the heart. The principal electrophysiological property of this beta blocking agent is a reduction of the phase 4 slope of the potential sinus or the ectopic pacemaker cells. We have discussed in action potential diagram, right? Phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. So phase 4 is what? There is a continuous slope in the action potential. So this drug, the beta blockers drugs, these drugs reduce the slope which is there in the phase 4, okay, such that the heart rate decreases and the ectopic tachycardias are either slowed or it is converted to the sinus rhythm. ओके, तो जो भी फेज 4 का जो भी स्लोप है वो स्लोप को वो कम करते हैं, ठीक है ना। फेज 4 का जो भी स्लोप है वो फेज 4 का स्लोप को वो कम करते हैं, ठीक है। एंड देयर बाय इट शोज इट्स समथिंग depressant effect, and thereby they shows its depressant effect, and thereby they decreases the heart rate and also decreases some tachycardias which is occur either in the ventricles or the atrium. So this is what the beta blockers drugs. So the first drug in the beta blocking agents is the sotalol. So again, if you consider, now here is no, this is not amide, okay। when we call it is as amide, when यहाँ पे जब C डबल बॉन्ड O होगा तो यहाँ पे है, बट अगर जब यहाँ पे NH2 होगा तो उस टाइम ये amide होगा, benzamide। but yes, here is another amide, and this amide is called as the methane sulfonamide, okay। in this case the amide group is here, that is a methane sulfonamide. So we can start our nomenclature from this nitrogen, that is the N dash, then 4 dash, N dash, then 4 dash, then 1 hydroxy. Now in this case it is mentioned 1 hydroxy. So if you refer the structure, then in few books you will found here CHOH. Okay, in few books you will found the structure of sotalol like CHOH, but in few books it has mentioned like this. So IPAC nomenclature में मैंने 1 हाइड्रोक्सी मेंशन किया है, तो यहाँ पे CHOH लिखा तो भी चलेगा, अदरवाइज C डबल बॉन्ड O लिखा तो भी चलेगा। IPAC nomenclature आपका रॉन्ग नहीं होगा, okay। So okay, so what is that? So N dash, so better आप यहाँ पे ना CHOH ही लिखो, okay। better you can write down as a CHOH because you can write down as a 1 hydroxy, okay। so N dash, 4 dash, 1 hydroxy. Again we can consider, again we are following the IPC alphabetical order. So here it is a methyl group and here it is a hydroxy group, and hence we can nomenclate first the hydroxy group as per alphabetical order. So N dash, 4 dash, 1 hydroxy, 2 dash, propan 2YL amino ethyl phenyl methane sulfonamide, methane sulfonamide. So this is what the IPC nomenclature of the sotalol. So sotalol, it is a non-selective beta adrenergic blocker. It is a methane sulfonamide antiarrhythmic agent. As an antiarrhythmic, it is dually classified as class 2 and class 3 because of the similarity of its cardiac effect to both the classes. So as we have discussed, these antiarrhythmic agents are classified into the 4 classes, 4 major classes, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this sotalol, it is classified in both the classes, that is the class 2 and class 3, because of its similarity of its cardiac effect on both the classes. This sotalol drug is used orally to suppress and prevent the recurrence of life-threatening ventricular arrhythmias. Okay, this drug is given orally. थोड़ी देर पहले हमने कुछ ड्रग्स देखे, that is a lidocaine. That lidocaine drug is given by the intravenous route, whereas this beta blocker agent sotalol, it is given by the oral route to suppress and prevent the recurrence of life-threatening ventricular arrhythmias. The next drug of these class 2 beta blockers agents is the propranolol. Propranolol. Now this is the structure of the propranolol. Now, the name suggests propranolol. Now, this the name of the structure suggests that this structure contain alcoholic functional group. Propranolol, OL. OL means what? It contains the alcoholic functional group. So here it is a propan to all. Okay, here it is propan to all. So we can start our IPC nomenclature from this first carbon. So 1 dash naphthalene 1YL oxy, naphthalene 1YL oxy, 3 dash propan 2YL amino propan to all. Now here in this case we can consider the alcoholic functional group. You can write down the IPC nomenclature of propranolol like this also, which is mentioned at the bottom of the PPT. That is 2-hydroxy. So in this case, the IPC, the numbering of this propane carbon or the propane chain, it start from this carbon. So 2-hydroxy, 1, 2, 2-hydroxy. Before few minutes, we have started the numbering from this carbon because first we numbered this naphthalene ring. But now we started from this carbon because in this case they consider amine as a highest priority group. But I think alcohol is having the highest priority as compared to the amine, right? Alcohol is having the highest priority as per the organic chemistry book. The alcohol is having the highest priority as compared to the amine. But just I have mentioned this IPC nomenclature also. So better you have to follow this IPC nomenclature because alcohol is having the highest priority. So better to follow this IPC nomenclature. Okay. So propranolol. Propranolol, it is a non-selective beta blocker and it is a prototype for class 2 antiarrhythmic agents. Its use as an antiarrhythmic is typically for the treatment of supraventricular arrhythmias, including atrial flutter, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, and the atrial fibrillation. So these all are the subtypes of the arrhythmias. These all are the subtypes of the arrhythmias. That is the supraventricular arrhythmia, including atrial flutter, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, and the atrial fibrillation. So this propranolol drug is used widely in the treatment of the various subtypes of the arrhythmias. Now this propranolol is also reported to be effective in the treatment of the digitalis induced ventricular arrhythmias. Okay, so digitalis cause what? Ventricular contraction. So this drug is effective in the treatment of the digitalis induced ventricular arrhythmias. Moreover, beneficial result can be obtained when propranolol is given in combination with the other agent. For example, in most of the cases, the propranolol is given in combination with the quinidine, and which is a most promising combination in the treatment of the atrial fibrillation. For aryl ethanolamine adrenergic agonist, right? For aryl ethanolamine adrenergic agonist, this OH substituted carbon must be in the absolute configuration to show the maximal direct activity. Now, if the drug is acting as an agonist, that is a beta adrenergic agonist, then at the time this OH group it should be present in the R absolute configuration. But now we are studying the beta blocker. So if the drug is a blocker, then at that time this OH group is in the S absolute configuration to show its blocking effect. Okay, so now the propranolol is what? It is a beta blocker. So in this case, the hydroxy group is in the S absolute configuration to show the maximal blocking activity. Now this propranolol is the most lipophilic drug among the various available beta blockers. And because of the lipophilic nature, it can easily enter into the central nervous system, which is much better than the less lipophilic drugs such as atenolol or the nadolol. So these drugs, the atenolol and the nadolol, these are the less lipophilic drugs if we consider the lipophilicity of the propranolol. And because of the highest lipophilicity of the propranolol, it can easily enter into the central nervous system. The use of lipophilic blockers such as propranolol, it has been associated with more CNS side effects such as dizziness, confusion, or the depression. As the drug is the lipophilic, so it can easily enter into the CNS. So after entering into the CNS, it shows some adverse effects like the dizziness, confusion, or the depression. These side effects are avoided, however, with the use of the hydrophilic drugs such as atenolol or the nadolol. The more lipophilic drugs are primarily cleared by the liver, and so their doses need to be adjusted in patients with the liver disease. In contrast, less lipophilic drugs, they are cleared by the kidney, and so their doses need to be adjusted in patients with impaired renal function. Now this propranolol this is the metabolism of the propranolol. Now this is the structure of propranolol. Now in this case, here I have mentioned the OH, CHOH. Okay, I think sotalol के structure में वो था C double bond O. Okay, so it is better in the sotalol and the propranolol structure to write down as a CHOH instead of writing the C double bond O. Okay, so propranolol undergo N-dealkylation results in the formation of N-desisopropyl propranolol. Then this metabolite means what क्या हो रहा है first step में, that is the dealkylation step, that is methyl groups are get liberated, results in the formation of this. Now in this case, this methyl group, that is the propan 2YL, this whole methyl group is get liberated, this whole alkyl group is get liberated, results in the formation of this metabolic product, that is the N-desisopropyl propranolol. Desisopropyl means what this propan 2YL or isopropyl group is get liberated by the N-dealkylation, results in the formation of N-desisopropyl propranolol. And after oxidative deamination, so this amino group is liberated, results in the formation of this metabolic product, and by oxidation results in the formation of the major metabolic product of propranolol, that is the naphthoxylactic acid. Naphthoxylactic acid. Okay, so that's it for the today's lecture.
Okay, so class 3 antiarrhythmic agents, also called as potassium channel blockers. Okay, class 3 antiarrhythmic agents, they are also called as a potassium channel blockers and also called as a repolarization prolongators. Okay, that is, these drugs, they prolong the repolarization period of the myocardium of the action potential. So drugs in this class, that is drugs which belong to the class 3 antiarrhythmic agents, they cause several different electrophysiological changes on the myocardial tissue, but they share one common effect. So what is the effect? That is, they prolong the action potential, which increase the effective refractory period of the membrane action potential without altering the phase of depolarization or the resting membrane potential. So this is the short mechanism of action of these class 3 potassium channel blockers. So what is the mechanism of action? That is, they prolong the action potential, which increase, after prolonging the action potential, it increase the effective refractory period of the membrane action potential without altering the phase of depolarization or without altering the resting membrane potential. So that is the mechanism of action of the class 3 antiarrhythmic agent. Now drugs in this class produce their effects by more than one mechanism. For example, sotalol. Sotalol is a potassium channel blocker. and has some beta adrenergic blocking properties. So beta adrenergic blockers we studied in the class 2 antiarrhythmic agents. So this sotalol also belonging to the class 2 as well as class 3 antiarrhythmic agents, because class 2 are the beta adrenergic blockers and class 3 are the potassium channel blockers. So sotalol having dual activity as the class 3 and class 2 antiarrhythmic agents. Amiodarone drug that also prolong the action potential by means that are unclear also have sodium channel blocking properties. So this amiodarone drug, its mechanism of action is a little bit unclear, but this drug also have the sodium channel blocking properties. Means what? That amiodarone also belonging to the two classes, that is a class 1 and class 3. Like class 1 is what? Class 1 are the sodium channel blockers. So most probably the antiarrhythmic agents, they belonging to the several classes. They belonging to the several classes, either 1, 2 or 1, 3 likewise. Okay, or 2, 3 likewise. So the first drug which we are going to study in these class 3 antiarrhythmic agents is the amiodarone. Now this is the structure of the amiodarone. Now first we will check out the IPC nomenclature of the amiodarone. So here is the amine functional group. So we'll start. So this IPC nomenclature, they have started the IPC nomenclature from this amine. Okay, from the amine. So 2 dash. Okay, so the checkout property, the IPC nomenclature, they have started the IPC nomenclature from the 2 dash. Now 2 dash of what? Can anyone tell me what is the 2 dash? So if we are starting, they consider the amine as a functional group. So the carbon number 1 and carbon number 2. So this is a 2 dash. Then 4 dash. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the 4 dash. Then 2-butyl. After 4 dash, 2-butyl. So the numbering of this ring is start from the oxygen. So 1 and 2. So 2-butyl, 1 benzofuran. Okay, 2-butyl, 1 benzofuran, 3YL, 1, 2, 3, 3YL, carbonyl, 2,6, because we nominated this phenyl ring from this position because we have started our numbering from this carbon 2 dash, then 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is 2,6 diiodo, 2,6 diiodo phenoxy ethyl diethyl amine. So this is what the IPC nomenclature of the amiodarone. The spelling of the amiodarone is AMIODARONE. Here is O. By mistakenly I have written A over here. So the spelling of amiodarone, it is mentioned over here. Okay. So amiodarone, it has very pronounced class 3 action and is effective in maintaining sinus rhythm in patient who have been treated by direct current shock for atrial fibrillation. So this amiodarone drug is used in the treatment of the atrial fibrillation. Now, like class 3 antiarrhythmic drugs, amiodarone also lengthens the effective refractory period by prolonging action potential duration in all myocardial tissues. Now this is all thing is about the metabolism, its half-life, and its adverse effects. So we are going to skip this part. So in short, amiodarone is what? Amiodarone is a class 3 drug, class 3 antiarrhythmic agent, and it maintains sinus rhythm in patients who treated by the atrial fibrillation. Now, like other class 3 antiarrhythmic drug, Amiodarone lengthen the effective refractory period by prolonging action potential duration in the myocardial tissues. Okay, so all these drugs they lengthen the refractory period and they treat the patient from atrial fibrillation or the supraventricular tachycardia or the ventricular fibrillation or the ventricular arrhythmia. So just we have studied various antiarrhythmic agents. So all these agents they just lengthen the refractory period. They just lengthen the refractory period and thereby they treat these subtypes of the arrhythmias. Then the next one, the next and the last class is the class 4 calcium channel blockers. Now, although not all calcium channel blockers possess antiarrhythmic activity, some members of this class of antiarrhythmic drugs, that is the verapamil and the diltiazem, I think we have studied this drug in the anti-anginal agents, right? So verapamil diltiazem, they block slow inward current of calcium ion during phase 2 of the membrane action potential in cardiac cells. For example, the prototypical drug in this group, verapamil, selectively block entry of calcium into the myocardial cell. It acts on the slow response fibers found in the sinus node and the AV node, slowing conduction velocity and increase refractoriness in the AV node. So what we have studied in the anti-anginal agent, we have studied these calcium channel blockers in the anti-anginal agents. That is, what is the action of the calcium? That is, calcium is work in the actin myosin tension generating system. Now what happens in that? That is, the calcium bind to a protein molecule called as troponin, and thereby once it bind to the troponin, then it initiates the interaction between the actin and myosin and results in the ventricular contraction. So the calcium channel blockers, so there are 4 to 5 types of calcium channels which we have studied, but most of these calcium channel blockers they act on the L type of calcium channel, right? And this L type of calcium channel is made of 4 different subcomponents, that is the alpha 1, alpha 2, beta, gamma, delta. And from the alpha 1 subunit, the calcium ion pass through the membrane and they enter into the cell. Right, all these things we have studied in the anti-anginal agents. So in this case, in the antiarrhythmic agents, again the 2 drugs are same, that is the verapamil and the diltiazem, which already we have studied in the anti-anginal agents. So this is the structure of the verapamil and the structure of the diltiazem. So again we'll study the IPC nomenclature of the verapamil and the diltiazem. So there is a nitrile group, right? If you remember, a nitrile group is there, and in a straight chain there are 5 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 5 carbons are there in a straight chain, so it is a pentane nitrile. If you remember, we studied this thing. This is what? This is a pentane nitrile. So we started the IPC nomenclature from the second carbon of this pentane nitrile. So 2 3,4 dimethoxyphenyl, 2 3,4 dimethoxyphenyl, then 5 then 2 again 3,4 dimethoxyphenyl ethyl methyl amino, then again 2 propan 2YL, remaining portion that is a pentane nitrile. So this is the IPC nomenclature of the verapamil. And regarding the metabolism, verapamil undergo metabolism in the liver by the enzyme CYP3A4. What will happen? That is N dealkylation occur and results in the formation of the norverapamil. That was the metabolite we have studied, right? Then this is the structure of the diltiazem. Now regarding the IPC nomenclature of the diltiazem, we have studied that there is a functional group called as the acetate functional group. and always we have started the numbering from the sulfur. If the azepine ring is there, then we started the numbering from the sulfur. So by alphabetical order, we start from this position. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 dash, 2 dash, dimethyl amino ethyl, then again 2 dash, 4 methoxyphenyl, 4 oxo, then 2, 3, 4, 5 tetrahydro. Why 2, 3, 4, 5 tetrahydro? Because these bonds which are mentioned over here. Now this is the ring, azepine ring. Now in the azepine ring there is a double bond in between carbon number 2, 3 and the 4, 5. Now these double bonds are missing. Hence we have mentioned 2, 3, 4, 5 tetrahydro, 1, 5 benzothiazepine, 3YL acetate, 3YL acetate. So this is the IPSO nomenclature of the diltiazem. Right? This is what the IPSO nomenclature of the diltiazem. And regarding the metabolism, we have studied that by again the metabolism occur in the liver, and what will happen, that is by deacetylation. By deacetylation, this acetyl group is get liberated, results in the formation of deacetyl diltiazem, results in the formation of deacetyl diltiazem. So this is the class 4 calcium channel blockers, that is the verapamil and the diltiazem. Now we come towards the synthesis. Now there are two syntheses, one is the procainamide and the another one is the sotalol. So procainamide is get synthesized from para-nitro-benzoyl chloride. Now the name of this compound is para-nitro-benzoyl chloride, right? Para-nitro-benzoyl chloride. Now this para-nitro-benzoyl chloride is further treated with beta diethyl ethylamine, or instead of writing beta you can write down as 2 dash 1 2 2 dash diethylamino ethylamine. So this para-nitrobenzyl chloride is treated with the beta diethylamino ethylamine. So they condense with each other, results in the liberation of the hydrogen chloride. So one hydrogen from this NH2 group and this chloride group is liberated, results in the fusion of these two compounds and results in the formation of para-nitro N-2-diethylamino ethyl benzamide. So check out properly. Now what we have discussed, that is hydrogen chloride gas is get liberated. So hydrogen from here and chloride from here is get liberated. So these two are get fused with each other. So C double bond O NH. So they fuse with each other, right? Results in the formation of this intermediate product. Then later on, by passing the hydrogen chloride gas and by reduction process, that is by reduction process through the HCl gas, results in the formation of our final product. So simply reduction process. So this NO2 group is reduced to the NH2 group. The remaining part is same. Now here we have mentioned the salt form, so it is not necessary to show the compound in the salt form. So in this step you have to only reduce this nitro group to the NH2 group. The remaining part you have to keep same. Okay. So this is a simple synthesis of the procainamide. So in this case only you have to remember the starting material, that is para-nitrobenzyl chloride and beta diethylamino ethylamine. So you have to remember only these two starting material. Later on you have to liberate the hydrogen chloride gas, and then again you have to reduce by passing the hydrogen chloride gas. Results in the formation of our final product, that is the procainamide. So it's a simple synthesis of procainamide. Then the next and the last synthesis of the antiarrhythmic agents is the sotalol. So sotalol, in this case, the methane sulfonyl chloride. So this is a methane sulfonyl chloride. It is treated with the aniline. Methane sulfonyl chloride, it is treated with the aniline. So the first step is same, that is the liberation of the hydrogen chloride. The first step is same, liberation of the hydrogen chloride. Once HCl is get liberated, both fuse with each other. So results in the formation of this product. So aniline का benzene NH, and to this nitro, the remaining portion of the methane sulfonyl chloride, that is the methane sulfonyl group, is get attached to this NH group of the aniline. So results in the formation of this intermediate product. Then the intermediate which is formed from the liberation of the HCl is further treated with the bromoacetyl bromide. Bromoacetyl bromide, and further treated with the CS2, that is the carbon disulfide. Okay, the intermediate which is formed from the methane sulfonyl chloride and the aniline by the liberation of the hydrogen chloride gas results in the formation of this intermediate, and this intermediate is further treated with the bromoacetyl bromide and the carbon disulfide, results in the formation of this intermediate product. Now what happened, that is it get attacked, the bromoacetyl bromide is get attacked to the para position of this phenyl ring. Check out properly. Now this part is same, but this bromoacetyl bromide is get attacked to the para position of this phenyl ring, that is a C double bond O CH2Br, C double bond O CH2Br. Okay, so this thing is get attached, results in the liberation of the hydrogen bromide. C double bond O CH2Br results in the liberation of the HBr to form this intermediate product. Then later on, the intermediate product is further treated with the propan 2YL amine. Okay, this intermediate product is further treated with the propan 2 amine. So what will happen when we treat this propan 2 amine with this intermediate product? That is the leaving group over here is bromide. So this bromine is get liberated, and this group is further attached over here to form this intermediate product, that is the C double bond OCH2 NH CH3 CH3. Okay, so bromine is get liberated, and then by the nucleophilic attack, this catalyst is get attached over here. Okay, by the nucleophilic attack, Br is get liberated. Then whatever the electrons of the bromine which is get liberated, it remains on the carbon. Then nitrogen shares its electron with the carbon to form this intermediate product. Right? Then further by the reduction process, this C double bond O is get reduced to the CHOH. That's it. So this is the final step and results in the formation of our final product, that is the sotalol. Okay, so these two are the syntheses which are there in our antiarrhythmic chapter. So this is what all about the antiarrhythmic agents.